Yo, 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 what's going on, family? So, the Black Factor is back. We are back in full effect, and I'm probably going to get a couple people that's going to be cussing at me real bad because I didn't say the Black Factor is back and let them know what was happening ahead of time. But here we are, y'all. And for those of you who are familiar with me on the other side of the game with the entertainment, this is the serious side of the game, and we're about to get into it tonight because we got to have some serious discussions about stuff that's going on politically in our environment. Y'all know the Black Factor is about tying the present to history and understanding what our particular position is in the game. It's a necessary thing, and I know. We're back to our regular scheduled time here on Wednesdays at 7. And we're going to do this. I'm going to dedicate myself to doing it and making sure that we get this information out in the way that it needs to be presented. Now, the very first thing, because we're going to we got to talk about these politics tonight, y'all. Normally we do and have in the past done, and it's been a very long time, and I apologize, a year or so, but we've had a lot going on, and it is unfortunate that a lot of times we are in an environment where entertainment, of course, sells a lot better than the serious stuff. But this is a necessary show and a necessary information. And I want to say to those who have been pretty much beating me across the head, begging and pleading for me to bring the Black Factor back, here we are, y'all. So it's time to get into it. And I want to start out with our recent situation with the presidential debate. I got a lot of stuff I got to get into on this whole show, but I got to get this information out because y'all you got to have it. You have to have this stuff. Now, there are going to be people who are going to click into this show and they're going to click out. And that is unfortunate because we have a tendency to want to bury our heads in the sand as it pertains to the serious stuff. We want to pretend like this stuff is not happening. We don't have that luxury at this stage of the game, and I really hope that more people pay attention. We are in a conundrum, if you will. So 2 things happened in the last week. One, we had a presidential debate where one individual looked as though he was lethargic, slow, and possibly not all there. I tend to disagree with the consensus that has, or the narrative that has been painted across the globe in regard to the performance. On the other hand, we had an individual who probably told more lies in one presidential debate than we've ever seen in the history of presidential debates. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to lie to y'all. Now, my opinion, because I like to root my show and the things that I say in fact, but in my opinion, I cannot understand how people who call themselves good, upstanding citizens, people with integrity, and even those who consider themselves to be good Christians, good religious folks, find it so easy to forego the fact that we're talking about a person who lies pathologically, like breathing, has admitted to being a molester, and basically a rapist. Yet, if someone else does it, it's a problem. But if he does it, it's okay. Anyway, off the debate topic, moving forward, I hope that we don't have the issue of the potential for a replacement candidate on the Democratic side. I'd like to see this thing through the way that it is. That's just me personally. Everybody else has their own, view on the whole thing. But one thing that came out of that debate that bothered me probably more than anything else, and that would be, hey, Phyllis Harris, how you doing? Thank you for checking in. Yes, I'm back. And that would be the conversation about black jobs. My question my immediate question, what is a black job? What does that look like? Is that to say that if those jobs were whatever they are, if those positions were replaced with people who come through the border as immigrants, would that then make them immigrant jobs? Would that make them Mexican or Venezuelan jobs? Is that to say that black people and people who cross the border are on equal footing in this country and, in fact, are not qualified to do, dare I say, white jobs? As a skilled professional myself, do you honestly believe for 1 second that I am worried about a person walking across the border coming to replace me at my skill set? I'm sorry, my black job. What exactly do you call skilled people of melanated nature? What are their jobs? So because I'm in the same profession as those who sit next to me, who are of other ethnicities, races, whatever you want to call it, does that mean that their jobs are white jobs, Mexican jobs, black, and mine is a black job? Is that what we're trying to get at here? Now, it begs the question, why is it that the inclination to make this about black people and the job market so relevant? Are you trying to say that we are low-level employees that can easily be, because what we do means absolutely nothing, so we can easily be replaced by people who walk across the border? Is that what the inference is making? And if that's the case, and we're going to get into this 2025 project, that being the case, are we trying to say that these jobs reflect the fact that your racism is not a thing? How did it become that a job that a black person does is a black job? I'm really trying to understand this, because there has to be some measuring stick. There has to be something in place that dictates what constitutes a black job. Is it race that makes the job a black job? Is it the skill set that makes the job a black job? Which one is it? Because if my skill set is equal to or better than someone of any other race, is it still a black job, or is it I'm a black person doing a white job? What are we talking about here? But then the same group of people who support that nonsense will sit and say racism doesn't exist anymore. Whenever you bring up race, you divide the people. So what are we to believe based on those statements? Is this a division rooted in the fundamentals of who can do what job? That smacks of Jim Crow laws, black codes, and other things of that nature that were in place right after slavery, or should I say after Reconstruction. Are we talking about a position that is about to come to pass through Project 2025 that says that only black people can do certain jobs? Now, in case you didn't know, you got to do your history. In fact, if you go back on some of the older Black Factor episodes, we did an entire show where we talked about the black codes and the fact that in particular states, black people were only allowed to do certain jobs. No matter how skilled they may have been, they only were allowed to be housekeepers, cooks, and things of that nature. Simple fact is, black slaves, let's remember this, were highly skilled individuals. Why? Because they had to do the jobs for free for their masters. And they were very good at what they did. So when slavery ended, you just pushed a bunch of skilled people, labor, out into the market among white people So now we're talking about black people who are equally or better skilled to do a job in white communities. Did that make those black jobs, or did they say those were white jobs and black people couldn't do them? See, this is why you have to understand where you came from and where you're going and where we're headed. There's a serious undertone of racism in that whole black job thing. But they'll sit and tell you racism doesn't exist anymore. It's not a thing. If you listen to that ignorant Tim Scott over there who claims that racism is not, it doesn't exist anymore, and he doesn't believe that, black people should have affirmative action and things of that nature. Well, if affirmative action was not necessary, why are we talking about black jobs? Why? Because affirmative action leveled the playing field for skilled laborers, for people who actually were as educated, if not more, who were as skilled, if not more, to move into an arena of working where a particular group of people did not want people of color working next to them, regardless of their skill set. Same thing went to baseball, football, and the list goes on. It wasn't because these people weren't capable or qualified. It was because they didn't want people who looked like me next to them at their job. Now, I'm willing to bet you that during that time, they claimed, we don't want these working white jobs. You're taking food off the table of a white family. See, you gotta dig into what was being said with those words. Black jobs. They're gonna take your black jobs. The black people should be worried because y'all ain't jack, because they're gonna take your jobs. They're not gonna take our jobs. They're gonna take y'all's jobs. Yeah, okay. That's what makes affirmative action necessary. And in case you didn't know, right quick, another history fact. 50 years ago, yesterday, was the anniversary of the signing of the Civil Rights Act. 50 years ago yesterday. And here we are on the verge, on the edge of all of that being erased. They already done gutted the Civil Rights Act already. That was the beginning of the end. But now, not only have they done that, we have a little thing called Project 2025. Now, I'm going to read to you some of the proposals within Project 2025 that are supposed to be basically mandated and go into effect once, if the possibility of a particular person takes office, a conservative, what is supposed to be conservative. This is supposed to be a set of conservative ideas created by a conservative think tank of multiple professors and things of that nature. But it is absolutely about to change the face of everything that you think and all the stuff that you take for granted about the way you live every single day. You keep thinking it's sweet out here and you don't vote. Baby, if it was ever a time to get off your tail and do what needs to be done, this is it, because it can make the difference between what you experience right now and the complaints that you continue to have. We all got complaints about the government and things that go on. All that's fine. But the fact is, if you're not real careful, you're not going to have room or the right to complain. That's the part you got to watch out for. And I know this shit seems extreme. A lot of people think, oh, you just exaggerating. That's just, if you haven't read Project 2025, you need to. I've only read part of it. It's 900 pages. And when I tell you, the same way I would just broke down black jobs to you, when you get done breaking down what it is they intend to do, you'll understand this is not a joke. It is not a game. This is not the time to play. This is not the time to play troll, devil's advocate, none of that. You better make the decisions that get made over these next 3 months, 4 months are going to make the difference between life and death. And I'm not exaggerating. I promise you I'm not. To add to the Supreme Court decision the other day, I'm going to get into that in a minute. before I get to that, keep in mind that there is about to be a reinstatement of the draft. There's a reason why there's about to be a reinstatement of the draft. This is yet another mechanism that will be put in place to control how people move, along with being able to dictate how to move people, when, where, and why, to protect the powers that are about to be put into place. In case many of you are not aware, everything that's about to happen has the incredible potential to result in a civil war. As a matter of fact, there is a, let me see. I had this thing laid out here. Okay. Basically, we have the potential for what has been referred to by Steve Bannon. They are not eliminating the idea of political violence. And those are, I can't quote it because I had it in front of me. I don't know what I did with it, but they are prepared literally to go to war over this right here in these United States. If you think it's a joke, it's not. And all I'm going to tell you is this. Don't listen to me. Don't believe nothing I tell you. This is what I've always said on the Black Factor. I will continue to say it. Don't believe me. I want you to look it up. I want you to go and read what this is about. On Wednesday, the Heritage president, Kevin Roberts, raised the prospect of political violence during a podcast interview. We are in the process of Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. In other words, sit down and be quiet and we won't kill y'all for your beliefs and understandings within a country where the Constitution is supposed to allow you freedom. Mr. Roberts told the War Room podcast founded by Trump advisor Steve Bannon, who is now incarcerated, who got locked up on Monday for his infractions in the law. Pay attention. Everybody within Trump's circumference. Do you understand how many people have been convicted of crimes in his time in office? Even when he was in office, people were getting convicted. But yet the blame seems to continuously try to land it on the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice is doing their job. They don't want the Department of Justice to do their job anymore. They want to have complete control and dictatorship. The reason the Supreme Court decision the other day came down from the conservatives who Trump appointed during his first term. See, here's the part you got to remember. People think voting don't matter. Oh, it ain't going to matter who's in office. Let me show you why it matters. Let me show you how we got here. When Trump, the rapist, now convicted criminal, was allowed to take office because everybody thought it was cute to have a celebrity, and he speaks his mind. He's telling you exactly what he's going to do. But he got into office after Mitch McConnell in the previous administration with Obama, who was supposed to appoint a Supreme Court justice, blocked that ability to do so. His efforts left that space open so that when Trump took office, he didn't get not one, not two, but 3 Supreme Court appointees. In case you didn't understand, see, this is why Trump and the conservatives love the uneducated. Now, those are his words. He loves the uneducated. He loves the uneducated because he knows they don't know anything or care about civics and the way this democracy is supposed to work. They don't care. They have no idea about how it works. Therefore, they can continue to do whatever they want. The sad part is when they're done, even these people who refuse to learn anything about how this actually works or what it's supposed to be like, they're going to suffer equally as badly as everybody else who didn't want it. They too dumb to see that though. And of course, me saying it right now, they'll never believe me. It's easier to lie to people than it is to prove to people they've been lied to. Look at all of the people who walk around and glorify a blatant, flat out liar. Not a subtle, well, he backtracked, he said this different. Not that. A straight up in your face, blatant, easily checked liar. All you smartphones make people really stupid. All you got to do is look it up. It ain't that damn hard. But all they listen to, they live in a bubble and they live in these things where they think that the stuff that's coming out, if anybody else says anything is wrong. These people are very much like some of my religious brethren who, if it's not in the Bible, they don't believe it. Even though they're not even living by every word of the Bible, but they don't want to hear it. Same thing. This is a cult, is what it amounts to. What we are actually about to do, if we do not stop this campaign from being successful in November, we are literally buying into a cult. The 2025 Project literally is promoting and pushing Christianity being put into the schools. Now, do I have a problem with religion in schools? I do not. Only because I know that there are people who need guidance. And it is an excellent guide for people to live their lives wholesomely and correctly. The problem I have is that the religious individuals who are trying to push all of this are not what they say they are. You have people running around here who support this nonsense, yet they support a person who is an admitted molester, an alleged rapist by multiple women, a person who has bankrupted multiple companies, lied to everybody, doesn't pay contractors. The list goes on. That's not even where it stops. And they trust this person with all the power in the world to control and run this. If he bankrupted all his own companies, lied and cheated and stole from his own companies, what do you think is going to happen next? And everybody running, oh, we had a great economy under, come on, man, stop it. Stop it. I guarantee you, as I speak, there is a record number of people boarding planes and in their cars on their way somewhere during this holiday season. Don't let that narrative and them lies fool you. This economy ain't that bad. Trust me on that. You can say whatever you want. The stock market is soaring. I don't see nobody running around out here talking about they starving. I do see people changing the way they spend their money. Smartly, by the way. But this economy ain't suffering like that. They need to stop that lie. Okay? Now, there is a congressman, Jared Huffman of California. And he just recently announced last month, Stop Project 2025 Task Force. Mr. Huffman said Project 2025 is more than an idea. It is a dystopian plot that's already in motion to dismantle our democratic institutions, abolish checks and balances, chip away at church-state separation, and impose a far-right agenda that infringes on basic liberties and violates public will. We need a coordinated strategy to save America and stop this coup before it's too late. Now, since in the last month, let me see. Since last month, Louisiana and Oklahoma have enacted new laws that specifically state, one is that in Louisiana, they say now that every single home must have, every single school classroom must have a copy of the 10 Commandments in the room hanging on the wall. Oklahoma has decided that religion, Christianity to be precise, must be taught as part of the curriculum in the schools. Now, my question on that is, what does that mean for my Muslim brethren? What does that mean for our Jewish family? Well, I'll tell you. In Project 2025, there is a portion that speaks specifically to people being able to choose the school that their children go to. Now, let me tell you what's getting ready to happen with that. The minute the choice is automatically given to people because they want to eliminate the Department of Education. That's part of that's part of Project 2025. That's just one of the things. They want to eliminate the Department of Education. They want to limit the powers of the Department of Justice or get rid of it, and they want to give more power to the president. Now, if you put these things in place in these school systems, what about our Muslim family? What about our Jewish family? What about people who are atheists? They're going to be forced to be taught religion, have it forced down their throat in a free country now. These are the same people who claim that there's too much governmental overreach, but yet they're prepared to reach over you to serve their agenda. See, the hypocrisy, it never ends. And this is the part that is so damn tragic to me. Let me see. There's some other areas that are very weird and actually scary. Now I want to read this one part to you right here. This is going to be what the communications director of the White House. This is all part. They have it broken down where they show you what each person's position is going to be. See, y'all don't understand. They are about to literally get rid of this federal government. They're going to get rid of everything that you think you understand about what's going on out here. And they're going to switch it so that they remain in power and control for eternity. There will never be another Democratic Party, nothing. It's going to all be about conservatives running the country, which now, if you have not seen this particular television show called The Handmaid's Tale, you need to watch that. What you are watching literally happen in front of your face through this government right now, through what's happening with this process, is what's about to happen in that TV show. That TV show is scary as hell. You would never think in a million years we would come to that. But I promise you, if this 2025 project comes off, baby, we in trouble because the stuff they wrote, they fluffed it up real nice, made it look real cute. But what this actually is, I'm going to tell you what it really is. This is a recolonization of America. This is those who have what they believe is a God-given right to run dominion over everybody else. This is it right here. This is exactly what this is. We are doomed if we let this take form. Now, my thing is, there are so many fanatics out there these days, and I shudder to say this. If we are not very careful, we literally within the next year are on the verge of a civil war. I don't want to see that happen. I really do not. But you saw what I just read to you earlier, that these people believe. They said, if there will not be any bloodshed, if Democrats don't make it happen. That's a loaded statement, y'all. Now, the way they had this thing broke down for all of the different branches or different positions within the White House, one of these is the communications director. And it says the communications director must convey the president's mission to the American people. Propaganda. Especially for the conservatives, this means navigating the mainstream media to ensure that the president's agenda is conveyed effectively and accurately. Do y'all know what that means? That means that you now have what they have in Russia, state TV, and you won't be allowed to watch anything else. You will be told what to think, and it will be rooted in what they want you to hear, much like what people who watch Fox News do. They live in a bubble. They believe everything they're told. They don't check it out for themselves. and and everything that fits the narrative of what they want to believe, because they want to be in power, they want to be back in control like they once were. They know that they're slipping and they're losing their grip on power, and being able to look down on other people of color and say, hey, you ain't good as me, get out of here. And by virtue of being that, they get special considerations. It's called white privilege. They want that back. They want it back. Now they'll flip this like they always do. They always claim everything that they claim that the other side is doing is what they're actually doing. It's a big ass gaslight. It's ridiculous. The 2025 Presidential Transition Project is being organized by the Heritage Foundation and builds off Heritage's long-standing mandate for leadership, which has been highly influential for presidential administrations since the Reagan era. So see, they've been around since Reagan. Their intent is to take control. The government, I want to read this to you. Now, this is from the BBC, all of the Europeans telling this story. Project 2025 proposes that the entire federal bureaucracy, including independent agencies such as Department of Justice, be placed under direct presidential control. So now the president can tell them who to go pick up. He already done told us. See, this is what I'm telling you. That's why you got to pay attention. He already done told us he is seeking revenge on any of his opponents. Anybody who goes against him, he's seeking revenge. He has already said it. Now they're going to be people, oh, he didn't say that. Please look it up. I'm not making this up. I don't have to make up anything. None of this is, I ain't got to make this up. This is what's happening right now. So they're saying that the Department of Justice will now be controlled by the president. It's a controversial idea and a unitary executive theory. See, this is why we're heading into a potential dictatorship, particularly not that Donald Trump is the most religious person in the world, from what I can see, a theocracy. Because if they want to inject religion into the law federally, that means we're talking about theocracy, theologians running things. Immigration, increased funding for the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. One of the Trump signature proposals in 2016. Well, whatever happened to Mexico paying for it? And they never did pay for it. One of the reasons Steve Bannon got in trouble and had got sued was because they stole all that money that people donated. Them good Republicans gave all that money to build that wall, and him and Trump, Bannon and Trump and a couple other them guys allegedly put it in their pockets, but it didn't go to the wall. However, more prominent are the consolidations of various U.S. immigration agencies and a large expansion of their powers. So now they're going to give the powers to the Border Patrol and other agencies that they're going to combine and make them basically the border Gestapo. You remember how they used to do in East Germany? They had the gate and nobody could cross in or out of the United States. Telling you, you mess around, you worried about somebody getting in. What you need to be worried about is if you're going to be able to get out. Other proposals include increasing the fees on immigrants and allowing fast-tracked applications for migrants who pay a premium. So in other words, it ain't too many of y'all. Y'all ain't just, we want you to pay if you want to come here. Pay to play. Look at that. Climate and economy. The document proposes slashing federal money for research and investment in renewable energy. So in other words, no more solar, no more fans, windmills, all that. They cutting all that out. They don't want that. They want to go back to, they want fossil fuels, and calls for the next president to stop the war on oil and natural gas. Now, you got to know this so-called fear-mongering war on oil and natural gas. We have more than enough in this country. But the simple fact is, these are the same people who don't believe in global warming. They don't believe that the environment means anything. Why? Because they think they have dominion over everything, which is what we initially discussed earlier. This is where we are headed. The all-knowing, all-seeing, all-being group of people who have colonized the entire planet, and everything they've ever touched has turned to trash. Now, carbon reduction goals will be replaced by efforts to increase energy production and security. So, in other words, let's pump more oil out of the ground. Let's do more fracking. And I can tell you from a person who has been in the oil field and done that job, it ain't good. Let me just put it that way. Trust me on that one. I need to do a whole story about that. The paper sets out two competing visions on tariffs and is divided on whether the next president should try to boost free trade or raise barriers to exports. If y'all think for 1 second that you're not the ones paying for the tariffs, wrong, you are. And guess what? The cost is going to get passed on to the consumer. You're not hurting them other countries. And trust and believe, for everything that we transfer, there's something else to be transferred as well in another direction. We depend too much on other companies outside this country to do things, and that right there within itself is a problem. Now I'll tell you another reason too. Phyllis Harris, she said his handpicked Supreme Court just gave him the right to do whatever without penalty is already happening. Absolutely, I'm gonna get back to that. But what's even funnier, and this a lot of people don't remember this. Merrick Garland, who is the head of the Department of Justice, and this is why they're so on the Department of Justice. They hate the Department of Justice so much because Merrick Garland was the one that Obama appointed to be the Supreme Court justice that they blocked from getting in there. Mitch McConnell did that. So now he's actually prosecuting crimes of these people who hated him to keep him out of office. Now, it's not malicious. He's got the evidence. What else do we need? But if evidence is not good enough when it comes to Donald Trump. Because like I said, he can have witnesses, he can have people, he can shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue. We've heard that how many times and get away with it. So I believe it personally at this point, at this stage of the game. Going back to the Supreme Court, they just basically gave him immunity, not him. Let me take that back. They said that presidents have immunity during official acts. Here's the problem. That's not good because what are considered official acts? Now it's got to go back down to the lower court while they make a determination on what official acts constitutes. What does that mean? Official acts. See, so everything that Donald Trump has done and broken the law now is now going to be considered an official act. Well, if that's the case, Biden is still president. Maybe he should do a few things that are official acts. See how far that flies then. Now, on the next thing. Oh, I'm not even done with the climate and economy. The economic advisor suggests that a second Trump administration should slash corporate and income taxes, abolish the Federal Reserve, and even consider a return to gold-backed currency. Baby, listen. We are already struggling. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not totally against the gold-backed currency thing. And the reason I'm not is because currently, and this is something that, you might want to look into, let me say this. Africa, as an example, the continent of Africa, many of the presidents within Africa are now beginning to collectively come together to create a currency for that continent or those areas that is backed by gold and to be used to purchase oil. See, oil bucks are American. If they stop using American money to purchase oil, then this country is in a lot of trouble. But here's the thing, and this is something a lot of people don't know. Muammar Gaddafi was considered, they called him the dog. They called him a bunch of things. But Gaddafi was in the process of doing what I just said, which was gather the leaders of these nations to build a currency to unify in the African countries, especially the ones that are still controlled by England and a few other of the European nations that they still pay money to, who colonized across the globe. See, it's going to stop all of that. They had to get rid of him. Now, allegedly. So he's up out of here, but it's still happening anyway. gold-backed currency is not a bad thing in this country, especially due to the fact that here we are in a time where we have allowed credit in this country to lull us all into a false sense of security and wealth. Used to be you had to actually work to get what you wanted. Now all you got to do is prove that you could pay a little bit here and a little bit there to get anything that you want. Now, on to abortion. Project 2025 does not call for a nationwide abortion ban yet. However, it proposes withdrawing the abortion pill from the market. See, it all sounds good. Just like those 3 appointed Supreme Court justices that Trump put up there, all 3 of them said no man is above the law, yet they just put a man above the law, all 3 of them, along with the other less than savory and apparently, allegedly, the ones who like to take bribes and trips and gifts and money with no checks and balances in place for them to get whatever they want from whomever they want for favors, because that's what it looks like to me. And that should be a strict no-no. There should be absolutely, the Supreme Court used to have integrity. It used to be an institution of nonpartisan action. Now we have people who literally are on one side of the fence or the other. There's almost like no in between anymore. And there's too many of them that want to see, I don't know what they've been promised, what they may have, what may come forward for them to gain from this shift in power. Because I can assure you, if the things that they're saying in here take place, oh, your life is about to change. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you support this or hate this. Things are about to change, and it's not going to all be for the good. I promise you that. Tech and education. Here we go. Under the proposals, pornography will be banned. It will be outlawed. No more porn. If you're a person who enjoys a little porn, no. Handmaid's Tale, y'all better watch. And tech and telecom companies that facilitate access to such content would be shut down. You won't even have access to it. You will be living in Russia. Now, according to some of these folks, the communists are Democrats, but they're about to literally, supposedly, all this government overreach that they say they don't want, they're getting ready to put it on you. Hypocrisy at its finest, y'all. The document calls for school choice and parental control over schools. Parental control over schools now, and takes aim at what is called woke propaganda. Let me tell you what woke propaganda is. Woke propaganda is truth. Woke propaganda is not being able, they don't want to hear the facts of their behavior, of the things that they've done, of the things that they've said, of the wrongdoing that they have been a part of throughout the history of this country, about all of the people they've murdered under the guise of slavery, all the people that they've hurt, all the people they have stolen from. Do you know how much stolen land has been removed from the hands of black people? They will tell black folks, get this, get that, do this, do that. And the minute they did it, they took it. And it was nothing nobody could do about it. If you think we're not going back to that, man, y'all better wake up. I'm telling you, you better wake up. You better get your tail down there when November 7th or whatever the date is, 5th, whatever the date is, you better get down there and you better vote within the best interest. Listen, I am not in any way sitting here saying that Joe Biden is my ideal choice for a president. I'm not. And I'm not telling anybody which way to vote. You vote however you vote your conscience. But I will say this. I would rather deal with the enemy that I know than the one that I don't. Because I promise you, baby, they have laid it out for you in plain black and white what they're going to do to you. All you got to do is read it. Don't be reactive, be proactive. That's what this is about. Let's see. The document calls for school choice and parental control over schools and takes aim at what is called woke propaganda. They want you to be asleep. They mad when they call it woke because that means your eyes are open. What happens when you sleep? Your eyes are closed. They want you with your eyes closed so they can do whatever they want. Don't be foolish. It proposes to eliminate a long list of terms from all laws and federal regulations, including sexual orientation, diversity, equality, equity, and inclusion, gender equality, abortion, and reproductive rights. They want to eliminate those words because they're going to eliminate those rights. You will not have that anymore. Gay folks, married, baby, they finna take that. You ain't gonna have that no more. All this he, her, she, I, am, them, they, that's over. That's over. Support that BS if you want to. Now, I'm not even with all of that. But guess what? I believe in letting people live how they want to live. You ain't bothering me. You ain't bothering people. You living your life like everybody else. You just tend to choose to identify however you want. That's your business. That's your business. Not the government. They've already injected themselves into women's bodies. Now they're going to tell you who you can love. They're going to tell you what schools to go to, which means they're going to control certain schools. That means that certain schools are going to get the curriculum, they're going to get the information, and they're going to be able to, they're going to have the best teachers. The other schools are going to get nothing. Why? Because they want to get rid of the Department of Education. There's a reason. They love uneducated people. Don't get this twisted. Donald Trump told you that. Since the 1980s, wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. The Heritage Foundation is one of the most influential of a number of think tanks that has produced policy papers designed to guide possible second Trump presidency. It's black and white, y'all. This information is out here. It's right here to be found. Since the 1980s, Heritage has produced similar policy documents as a part of its Mandate for Leadership series. The Project 2025 is backed by a $22 million budget, also sets out strategies for implementing policies beginning immediately after the presidential inauguration in January of 2025. Trump has endorsed a number of the Project 2025 ideas and his speeches and on his website, although his campaign has said the candidate had the final say on policy. Many of the proposals would face immediate legal challenges if implemented. Yeah, they're going to face immediate challenges, but if you have all power and you can do whatever you want, what difference does that make? See, they're removing the guardrails of democracy so that they can take over and do whatever they want. Y'all better wake up, man. I'm doing this show tonight, and a lot of people have been after me about, doing this show again. And I have to put this information out here. I don't even know how long it'll be up here. Hell, somebody might be trying to come for me after this. Who knows? But I'm telling you what got to be told. Read it for yourself. Don't listen to me. Don't believe me. Look it up. Project 2025. It's a 900-page book. It's online. Look it up. Read it. Understand what you're reading. Know that this is not going to end well on no side. I personally don't believe that after this particular election, anything is going to end well. Right now, they want to get rid of all of these, barriers for, the things that are put in place for climate control. I saw a prediction that there are going to be 2 catastrophic weather anomalies this year. They're going to destroy a lot of stuff. I hope that doesn't happen. I'd love to be dead ass wrong. I hope they're wrong, because I hate conspiracies and I hate wrong predictions. Let's see. This is the goal. Well, wait a minute. Let me start up here. The actions of liberal politicians in Washington have created a desperate need and a unique opportunity for conservatives to start undoing the damage the left has wrought and build a better country for all Americans in 2025. In other words, they don't like the fact that they have lost their power as clear people. They want to undo this so-called damage. See, that's that fear mongering. I want you to think about something. You can go back and watch any of the commercials, from any of the politicians on that side of the fence, on the Republican side, for the last 4 Republican presidents. Every last one of those commercials is fear mongering. That's what Fox News does. They fear monger. They put all these lies and narratives out here to make people think, oh my God, it's going to be terrible. It never comes to pass. It is not enough for conservatives to win elections. If we're going to rescue the country from the grip of liberal radical left, we need both a governing agenda and the right people in place. Now, that right people in place thing, that goes back to them putting politicians and Supreme Court justices in the right place to get the results that they want, to get favorable rulings like the president basically has immunity to do whatever he wants at this point in the Supreme Court. They want to put the right people. They want the right Congress people and the right senators in place that are going to push this radical agenda. That's why they say they want the right people in place, ready to carry out this agenda on day one of the next conservative administration. That means from the minute that man take office, it's about to be on and cracking. This is the goal of the 2025 Presidential Transition Project. The project will build on 4 pillars that will collectively pave the way for an effective conservative administration, a policy agenda, personnel, training, and a 180-day playbook. So within the first 180 days, they're literally going to change your life. The laws are going to change. And they're not going to go through conventional methods to get that done. That's going to be by executive order because Donald Trump will then have had all of the power that he needs to make these changes unchecked. He can do whatever he wants and can't be held accountable for any of it. The project is the effort of a broad coalition of conservative organizations that have come together to ensure a successful administration begins in January 2025 with the right conservative policy recommendations and properly vetted and trained personnel to implement them. We will take back our government. Properly vetted and trained. What does that mean? That means they're going to be questioning people to make sure that they're loyal to Trump and that administration, that they're loyal to these ideas, that they're not going to break bad and say, oh, we shouldn't do that. Trained. They're going to make sure that these people are equipped with all the necessary tools to make your life miserable. The most recently, the Trump administration relied heavily on the heritage mandate. Most recently for policy guidance, embracing nearly 2/3 of heritage proposals within just 1 year in office. Paul Dans, former chief of staff of the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, during the Trump administration, serves as the director of the 2025 Presidential Transition Project. Spencer Cheriton, former special assistant to the president and associate director of presidential personnel, serves as associate director of the project. Look here, y'all. This is not going to end well, no matter what happens. It's just not. There was even a section in here that I read earlier that the first man or woman, we already know what it's going to be, a first man, because we already know the patriarchy and this type of mentality and ideology is what's going to be ruling. So there will be a first lady, will have the power to affect particular social issues through this program. I think I'll read this just to see what it says. Okay, Domestic Policy Council. This should be interesting. The Domestic Policy Council, DPC, consists of advisors to the president on non-economic domestic policy issues, as well as international issues with the significant domestic component, such as immigration. It is one of the primary policy councils serving the president along with NSC and NEC. The director serves as the principal DPC advisor to the president, along with members of the cabinet, and the deputy director chairs a committee responsible for coordinating domestic policy development in the deputy secretary level. Let's see. Trying to see if I want to see what the job title is. Okay. It is essential that the DPC policy expertise reflect the most prominent issues that are before the administration, issues such as the environment, which we know they don't care about, healthcare, which we know they don't care about, housing and immigration, they don't care about that. So you got to ask yourself what they're going to actually do. In addition, DPC SAP should demonstrate a working knowledge of the rulemaking process, although they need not necessarily be experts on regulation. They're going to make rules, but they don't know nothing about the regulations, because a working knowledge of the rulemaking process will facilitate the DPC's effectiveness in coordinating administration policy. So in other words, they're going to put stuff in place and it don't matter what the rules are. They're going to make their own as they go along. This is why you really, okay, here's the funny one. Wait a minute. The office of the first lady or first gentleman. The first lady or first gentleman plays an interesting role in the formation, implementation, and execution of policy in concert with the president. When have we ever had a first anything who was part of making policy in the White House? Whew. Active and interested first spouses often champion a select number of signature issues, whether they be thorny social issues or a deeper policy issue. One advantage of the first spouse taking on hot button social issues is that any political backlash will be less severe than it would be for the president. In other words, they're going to use their spouses as a buffer. The first spouse normally appoints a chief of staff who has enough assistance to support the spouse's activities in the East Wing and of the White House. This group works exclusively with the first spouse and senior members of the White House, along with the EOP personnel, and implement and executive the first spouse's priorities, which reflect the first spouse's passions and interests and are often identified as important in discussions with the president. Executed well, they can be strategically useful in the accelerating of the administration's agenda. Past East Wing initiatives have focused on such issues as combating bullying, fighting drug abuse, promoting literacy, and encouraging physical education for young adults and children. The first spouse is afforded significant resources. His or her staff also works with the president policy team, members of the cabinet, and the EOP staff. All right, I'm tired, y'all. Whew. Look, I'm getting ready to end this show. I've had enough. All I'm going to tell you is that you need to be aware of Project 2025. You need to understand why the Supreme Court just gave immunity to Donald Trump. You need to understand why they're about to implement, why they're implementing the draft. And I can think of several other things that are taking place right here before our eyes. If you think for 1 second that not voting is an option, it's not. It really is not. I am not singing the praises of either candidate because I'm not impressed with either one of them. But the simple fact of the matter is, we are headed, and again, I hope I'm dead ass wrong, but we are headed into another civil war. But what must happen is that if the people who want to destroy this democracy, these people, are going to get anything, it is our duty to make them take it. And that means it's going to be some fighting going on. And I personally don't see how this is inevitable. We have a childlike sociopath at the head, or being used as a figurehead for all of this nonsense. We have allowed the lie to become the truth. We have sat back and not called a spade, called a liar, and allowed this stuff to take place for far too long. For far too long. And at the end of the day, the cows done already ran out the barn. But we got to catch them before they get out the gate. Because I'm telling you now, y'all comfortable? Hell, I'm comfortable. I'm right here in my studio, eating good, drinking good. Got good air conditioning, soft bed to lay in, and a hot shower. Some of the things I cherish the most. If we're not very, very careful, all those little small things, being able to jump up and run out to the grocery store and grab something off the shelf, that stuff can go away so fast, it'll make your head spin. If you understood history, you'd know that the United States already has been on borrowed time for a very long time in terms of this government. Be honest with you, I personally am not ready for it to end from what I know it to be. Now, am I one for change? Sure I am. I'm good with that. But when I see stuff changing and it's going against my principles and everything that I believe and what I've been taught by this country and this democracy to believe is true, freedom being one of them, even though it is somewhat of an illusion, because we're told we're free, but in fact, we are very much not. And if these things here take hold and take place, you don't understand what not being free really is. You're going to find out. And I'm not on here trying to fearmonger. I am simply stating what they wrote, what the facts are. Now, there are people who are going to be like all for everything in here. Why? Because they want to be back in power. They don't want there any equality. You saw what it says. It's going to remove the words equity. It's going to remove a whole bunch of stuff. And I guarantee you, a whole lot of y'all, you're going to lose what you thought you had. It's an illusion. Don't set us up for this failure. Do your part. Everybody can do their part. One man, one vote. Go make it. All right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to get up out of here. It has been fun once again. I feel like there's a lot that I didn't say and a lot more that needs to be said. But I'm not going to say much else. All I really want to say is, please, 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 I implore you, go and at least flip through this information. Point this information out to more people. Make it clear that if this thing is going to do whatever it's going to do, that people at least make the choice. Don't let the choice be made for you. Be proactive and not reactive. Get with the program. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, I want you to have yourselves a wonderful evening. This has been The Black Factor. Once again, 2024, we're back. Whew. It weighs so heavily. Good night, y'all. Peace.